Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of In Other Waters. Last episode, we've explored the rest of the brine pools, getting as much information as we could. We've basically found all the creatures in here, except some which were in some remains that we didn't get the last of the information on, and one fast-moving creature that I imagine we might find over in this other region. I don't know what we'll find up here, although my guess is it's going to be more of those tangles. So let's head up this way and see what we can find. Alright. This one is probably going to require us going across those electrical tangles and dealing with loss of power. Since the other one was... here we go. Something new. A mass of tentacles and growths unlike anything I've seen. It's difficult to understand the anatomy of these creatures just by looking. What is that? It's like a whole menagerie of creatures caught in a silken net. Another group of towers rises towards the pale light, each strata piled with silver silt. In the shadow of the towers, there is a deep silence. From between the towers, a pale blue light flickers over the rocks. Flanked by the towers, this path leads ever deeper down the slope. Aha! The veils reach out towards the black basalt towers, emanating flashes of cyan light. I knew there'd be more of these around here. A gap... More veils. We need to be careful. There has to be a way to find the path through. A gap has opened up between the veils, allowing passage between their gauzy bodies. This veil is in the process of splitting away from the rest of its body. Is this how veils are born, or is this an injury? Even on the far side of the tangle, the veil's lights can be overwhelming, multiplying my shadow in all directions. With the blinding veils behind me, I notice smaller pinpricks of light moving across the slope. There are other creatures here. This close to the veil, the light is unbearably intense, its repeated patterns leaving ghosts on my retinas. No, we're gonna head around to get to that point. Oh, found another one of these. Occasionally, this creature stops and unfolds its tentacles in chambers to cover a broad area of water. Is it hunting? Ah! Water bulbs! Okay, this is identified. I'm calling these cryptic creatures water bulbs. Let's see what we can uncover about them back at the lab. Partially transparent, egg-shaped creatures which feed by filtering water. A strange sphere sits inside their iridescent interior. This outcrop hides a wealth of life, from long-legged crawlers and filter feeders to blurred shapes which flit through the suit's lamps. Ah. Veils shimmer along the slope, marked with both glittering lights and the dark remains of those creatures who strayed too close. Something tells me that would be the way... Oh, wait, that might be the way around. Let's take a look at what's over here. At this overgrown outcrop. On closer inspection, these petals are solid growths, not fragile objects. They sit like thin tree stumps in the sand, each on their own wide stalk. Unlike the Bloom's fans, these deep water variants are covered with a translucent sheath of mucus, which protects their delicate spines. This huge curved fan glows with a warm bioluminescent. Waves of amber light pass up its considerable height. And we've got a sample. Let's take it. Okay, we've had a fan sheath before. Oh! Okay, we've seen that one. Cold fire bathers. Interesting. I'm going to name these cold fire bathers. They seem to be strongly linked to the light of these fans. These wide, petal-shaped plants gather in groups and grow in the light of deep-sea fans. Their pollen fills the water around each stem. From this side, this arrangement of pulsing and glowing forms, nestled in the basalt, is a sanctuary of life and warming light. Standing beside these clusters of egg-like forms, I can feel them filtering huge volumes of seawater in pulsing gulps. We've got it in a sample candidate here. which is something new. Oh. A better look at these creatures shows they are swimming with their rear legs while using their tails to propel themselves somehow. And what we found is deep pollen. Alright. Away from the outcrop, the silty slope begins to descend again. And this heads back down. I guess we can take a look in this direction. Oh, we found more. A large tangle of veils stretches out ahead, producing a cyan light that softly flickers in the dark. A large field of veils whose pale blue light appears unpleasantly cold in comparison to the warmth of the oasis. Let's head back, because I still want to see what's down that other path. It's possible that we just go this way. I'm going to head all the way around here. Okay, we had seen that one. Yes, as I saw this path. Okay, that just goes to there. And that doesn't actually encounter anything. Okay. You know what? Give me a moment. We've used up a bit of power going back and forth. I'm gonna go back to the drone, get more power out of it, and then we'll be fine. Fortunately, the drone is right over here, and we're right close by. And not only that, I can fill this up. Regain power and that, and activate speed. Ow! Okay, I need to be careful about those. Those drain my power. Let me undo that, because I don't want to deal with loss of power like that. That was actually a lot. Jeez. So I'll need to be patient around those things. Fine. We'll head around there. Make sure we don't run into the thing. Which we won't. Good. Alright, moving out. Seems they don't get affected by the stuff here. Alright, let's take a look to the south here. No wonder Manet's ROVs never returned. These veils are everywhere. Like on Earth, they must rely on predation to survive this deep, where little sunlight reaches. Who knows how temporary these gaps in the walls of the veils are? We should make the use of them while we can. The tangled veil has created a translucent, twitching maze. Oh! We had already seen that one. These looped veils are carrying a wave of light that passes from one individual to another and back again. What does this mean? There is beauty to being inside a field of veils, a song of light that makes it impossible to keep sense of direction. The veils here create a set of gauzy walls closing off the ocean around. An avenue between the veils. Flickering shapes caught in the suit's lamps suggest other creatures make use of this safe passage, too. Like city lights beyond a curtain, I can see the warm pinpricks of an oasis beyond this waxy wall. This is gonna hurt, but I need to see if there's anything over here. And there is. The veils seem to sit away from these basalt shells, preferring to seed themselves in the silty dark between the rocks. Ow. Another garden of creatures rooted into a dark basalt shelf. A welcome break from the intensity of the veil field. And cold fire fan. Well, new species found again. I'll call these cold fire fans after those mesmerizing flame-like pulses. Filter-feeding fans that, beneath a mucus sheath, pulse with warm light, often surrounded by other creatures benefiting from their glow. This side of the outcrop, where the warm light of the fan does not reach, is absent of life. It is hard to tell if this is a colonial creature or a single individual. Whichever it is, we should keep our distance to avoid those tentacles. This fan shimmers with waves of cold fire, bathing the surrounding oasis in warm light. Okay, what do we got here? More deep pollen. I don't think we really need more deep pollen. But we have a sample over here to gather. Fan sheath. You know, we have one of those, but getting more power in is good. A gap in the tightly knotted veils leads to the welcoming amber light of another oasis. Tiny creatures crawl silently along the layers of dark rock, leaving behind small, strange marks in the shadowy silt piles. Past the drifting sheets, another pattern of light skirts around the edges of the tangle. A mutual predator to the veils, perhaps? This veil is hung with the husks of its catches, the dark clouds obscuring the starlit sky of its bioluminescence. And the veils are coming together ahead. I hope this gap will remain open long enough for us to pass. Okay, I've seen those. Sample we get from here is animal remains for a bit more power. Not the worst idea. Okay, so we did have a safe way through. I just didn't notice. Oh! Some creature has shed or lost a segment of its tail shell here among the veils. It looks small enough to sample. Alright, that's a sample candidate we need to take. Alright, let's take this sample. We don't know what it is, but it'll be useful. We've already got some digested remains, so I'll take some back here. And that was the alternate route that we'd seen. A little more powered pain, but we'll be fine. Right, let's head around. Okay. That probably leads further in. These pale pulsing creatures have noticeable growths budding off from their central form. We could sample them here. Which I think we will. I'm going to get rid of the pollen. It does look like it does something. Oh. Ah! These things eat the pollen, don't they? Well, this is another source of power. Which is ovoid bud, the bud of an egg-shaped creature found in the deep. Away from the outcrops the veils claim what territory they can. This field is the largest I've seen, wandering away into the deep. These creatures seem to follow the same routes back and forth through the veils. Why do they limit themselves to these pathways? Abyssal sail shells is what this one is. I'm calling these abyssal sail shells. Those wide tailplates are instantly recognizable. Small, dark creature with a large, translucent tail shell that allows it to rapidly move through the water, navigating the veil tangles safely. As the basalt shelf sinks back into the silt, the ocean floor falls away into a huge field of glittering veils. And at the northernmost tip of this outcrop, a dark pillar rises up, its stacked layers edged with pale silt. At the edge of the outcrop in the light sand slope, a shallow burrow leads down. Eggs glint within. We could sample them here. Ah, an egg! That's actually something we could use. I have a fan sheath. Use this up. Let's sample the egg. There we go. And this is beaded eggs. Alright, we've got a lot of samples. Not quite enough, but a lot. Let's keep heading out. We must be able to find this somewhere. A group of looped veils output the same pattern in an ornate game of call and response. Are they communicating with each other? A split in the veils leads into their ornate interior. Navigating this huge tangle will be a struggle. The veils are reaching in towards this point on the ocean floor like vines seeking the sun. Here, the walls of veils come in close, turning away from the core of the tangle at strange angles. The veils on each side are mimicking each other, both in shape and pattern, their pulsing lights playing a mirror game. From this middle point of the tangle, it is impossible to see beyond the glimmering walls to the ocean beyond. And we have a new species. With all these orbiting polyps and strings, I am naming this creature the Deep Orrery. Okay. I have a feeling over here we might find what we're looking for. The curving walls lead to another gap in the tangle filled with light and movement. Bodies of creatures that were trapped in the walls lie piled in the silt. The veils must pass them here from tangle to tangle. A large basalt pillar sits on the shelf, its dark skin textured by the lights of the nearby tangle. Let's wait for you to move. Thank you. The glow of an amber fan and the soft shapes of its petal audience can be seen just behind the black rock. At the far side of the veil field, this outcrop sits silently, dappled with warm pockets of life. At the tip of the shelf, fed by a soft current, these creatures pump moving water around the outcrop. Is this why the veils stay away? This gap between tangles allows passage further down the slope. What do we got here? We have digested remains. Don't need to worry about that. Another clearing in the field surrounded by possible routes both through and past the flickering veils. The tangle is behind us now, leaving only the dark of the deep ocean ahead. But I think we might have something to look at over here. These glittering veils have formed a close perimeter around the outcrop, but seem to be keeping their distance. The petals here have had their roots dug up by some creature. We could take a sample of them here. It would be a sample that we don't have. Okay, looks like I am going to use one of these ovoid buds. There we go. Shielded from the veils by the basalt pillar, this fan hosts a small colony of petals, their spores speckled across its sheath. Is this a new one? Nope, we already have a fan sheath. I think we've picked up one of these already. Yes, we have. So, there was a path going further west. Let's see. Among the hypnotic patterns of the veils, other lights move. Pinpricks like LEDs shifting in the loose orbit of an unseen body. The tangle turns back on itself, revealing new paths into its interior. Two veils that look they have recently split present a narrow gap in this maze. A gap in the middle of the tangle where the lights are dimmer, the sickening shifting sensation lessened. I am starting to think there is some battle for territory between the veils as they search for the best spots to cast their nets. Here, the veils close in towards each other, sheets passing up against one another with gentle waves. The veils meet here, but through their translucent skin I can see the dark shape of an outcrop. Unlike the other outcrops, this dark rock is being invaded by the veils, subsumed in the tangles. This seems very unique. Ow! A wilted fan faintly pulses, while spines of its body have broken away, still faintly glowing in the silt. We could sample them here. I think this is something new. It is something new, but I need to make space. Well, I'll use up a spark colony. Unfortunately, that's all I can take for one glowing spine. I'll need to get rid of one of the deep pollens soon. But I've got something new. And pain. Alright, we must be getting close. Let's see. Another piece of territory yet to be claimed by the strange patterns of the Veil Field. A shelf segment gleams among a large number of semi-digested husks dumped by the Veils. It looks small enough to sample. I think we may have claimed one of these in the past. Yes, we have. One tangle is split away from another here, moving down the slope away from the field. Let's head this way. This may be the source we need. Here, the veils part, looping back towards their fellow tangles. Another refuge in these dark waters, glowing with life. Though the veils are encroaching on its position, the outcrop silently holds out against their cold chemical light. Surrounded by its audience of light-bathing petals, the fan's sheath shimmers with amber light like a bonfire. I think we've already taken one of those kinds of things. Something clouded and purple glints in the silt beyond the veil. It looks small enough to sample whole. Alright, lost some more power. What do we got here? This is unknown. Alright, looks like we gotta dump some of these out. And we have a shed polyp. Okay. Back this way we go. Ow. Let's see. Among the elegant shapes of the petals, small, stilt-legged creatures stride, cleaning particles from their pitted surfaces. And at the edge of the light from the fan, the petals are pale and twisted away, perhaps turning to another source of food. So what do we have here? More deep pollen. Faint flickers of light silhouette a tall pillar of basalt shards rising up into the faint blue glow above. And the tangles of veils close around the outcrop here, encasing it in a prison of glinting light. Anything of note here? Oh! Twisted back on itself, this veil is being eaten away by creatures, its defensive abilities neutered. We could sample some tissue here. Which we need. Unfortunately, I need to get rid of one of these, and the only thing I can get rid of is a nest fragment, which irritates me, but I have no other choice. Everything else here we haven't put in, so we're gonna have to get rid of this. Unfortunate, but we need the sample. Hopefully we find the route back soon. Where the veils intersect, strips of bioluminescence flower, coating bright folds in their gossamer material. Oh dear. After the last veil, the dark returns. It must be up here. It's the only place left. Outside the reach of the veils, the dark, cool water is a welcome change from the incoherent patterns of lights. We seem to be through. No more veils ahead. Unlike the other outcrops, this one is free of life. Is proximity to the veils vital for the other colonies' coexistence? Another shelf appears out of the dark, but nowhere on its surface can I see the warm glow of a fan. Another of Monet's ROVs scattered across the outcrop. We should still be able to use its transmission core to reach the base. Good. Let me just check the remainder of this. The slope continues its irresistible descent towards a distant abyssal plain. And that goes back to somewhere we've seen. The veils thin out, the last of their light falling across the sandy slope as it descends into deeper water. As tangles split away from each other, the density of the field starts to thin out. And then we get back to the paths we took. Okay, good. We're starting to run low on power, too. Here, in the middle of the outcrop, an ROV. This one was carrying a supply cache, too. We can recharge and refill our oxygen. Let's access its map data. Open up the terminal when you're ready. Also, past the shelf, there is only the dark of the descending slope. Noted. Recover power, map data. It seems like this ROV was disabled by the veils, like the other one. This can't be right. The mapping scans report a large physical anomaly just north of here. From the data, it looks like a structure. That's impossible. Maybe the veil has fried the sensors? Either way, we should go check it out. We will, but we need to go back and deposit everything. That said, I'm going to end this episode here. Next episode, we are going to take a look at all of the information we've just gained. A lot of information on creatures. Put in all the samples, get all that measured, get some more out so that we have a supply, and then take a look at this structure to the north. I am quite curious about what it could be. But that'll be in the next episode. So, until then, I am Chester44, also known as Fly. This has been a Let's Play of In Other Waters, and I shall see you all next time.